sheets. What's impressed you specifically about his performance?
Well, his attitude is spot on, wasn't it? He was criticised a little bit last year and he's responded like any good professional should be. He's got out on the football field and he's played well and he's played well and he's carried on playing well. And it's hard being a centre defender for the top teams, especially the way they play, because he's the one who has to take chances. I'm a big fan of his. Any centre defender who likes to play with the ball, who likes to step forward, who's always looking forward, trying to have that killer pass into the forward line. It's hard to do. It's easy to be a defender. And there's injury worries. Cancelo played on the right this time. It shows that they're operating as a unit. They must be working hard on the training ground when they can get onto the training ground with all the travel and all the games they're playing. And they're doing something right. And, normal service has resumed. They're in fourth place now, and there's no panic anymore about looking down the leagues at anybody.
He's really staking a claim, isn't he, to start every big game for them. Has Pep now got the level of competition that he needs in those centre backs?
I think so. Last year it was all about Laporte and somebody else, and then he went and bought Nathan Ake, of course, and then he bought Ruben Diaz, and then we all thought it was going to be Laporte and Diaz, but suddenly it's not. Suddenly it might be Stones and Diaz, it might be Stones and Laporte, because Laporte likes to play on that left side of that back of that central defensive partnership where Diaz was playing today. So it certainly gives them a little bit more competition. The fact that Laporte was warming up on a few times today, up and down the touchline, and, Pep never brought him on.
What did you think of his decision not to make any subs? The right decision, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was fine. I think he knows his own players. He knows that he's made 7 changes since midweek. It wasn't particularly a difficult game today where they had to exert a lot of energy. They control the game fairly well. Of course, you're always worrying about, because it's a cold day as well, whether they might get a little muscle pull at the end of a game if they're getting a little bit of fatigue. But I think they were so comfortable at games. Sometimes during games you just think, why even mess around with the team when they're operating so well and they all know where they're going to be and everybody knows each other's movements. And it looked like that today. It was a really comfortable day's work for City, very professional. They managed the game excellently. And you always knew they were going to see the game out and just, move on to the next game. And that's exactly what you want.
The first time City have done that since April 2005. But I guess with the Group 1 in the Champions League as well, he knows he can rest and rotate in the week against Marseille.
Well, yeah, like Liverpool can, like Chelsea to a certain extent can. When you win your group, you can do whatever you want. If he wants to play 11 completely different players, he can do that. If he wants to rest a lot of his players, and let's be honest, Manchester City and certainly some of their star men, Kevin De Bruyne, who was excellent today, they do need protecting a little bit more because their lack of summer holidays, they played right into August, of course, in the Champions League, and then they went right from, I think they may have had a week off if they were lucky, right into international games and then right into the start of our Premier League season. A lot of the players do need wrapping up a little bit. So if you can miss an away game at Porto or, a game against Marseille this week, well, then so be it. It's up to you to control your team, and they've done the hard work. So if you want to rest as many as you want and you want to play a lot of the kids, so be it, fine.
And Kevin De Bruyne today assisted the first, scored the second from the penalty spot, despite missing his last penalty. Was he the standout forward player today?
Yeah, I think he was because of what he did on the pitch himself. Mahrez, I thought, was excellent today. He was involved in a lot of good things. I thought that some of the defenders were great. But, Kevin De Bruyne could have easily had a hat-trick, couldn't he? They had a chance there. Of course, we know that he scores the penalty. But here, Gabriel Jesus could have had a shot, pulls it back to Kevin De Bruyne, hits the bar this time. So he was always involved. Anything creative for Manchester City, he was involved. A lovely ball here by Rodri to set Mahrez again on the way. He probably should have scored here, Kevin De Bruyne. Just hits it at a nice height for Areola, who was good. This one is an assist for Ruben Diaz. Probably should have scored because it fell on his left foot. But all the good things going forward, and he had to be going forward today because, of course, Fulham were going to defend a lot of the game and Manchester City were going to dominate possession. But everything good that happened in the offensive area came from Kevin De Bruyne.
How much does he need to be looked after and wrapped in cotton wool almost, given his importance?
Yeah, I know they've got Phil Foden who can play further forward, but I think when they lost David Silva, that little bit of magic, I think, comes from Kevin De Bruyne. And if you can rest him, I mean, he was Player of the Year last year, so it shows what year he had last year as well. So if you can rest him at times and just give him a little bit of a break, I think you'll be doing it all the time. Particularly in games like this where, they could have easily withdrawn him after 60, 70 minutes. They were never going to lose today. But maybe it's his chance to, have a couple of days off this week. I don't know whether he'll be involved in the Champions League midweek. But the fact that it's a dead rubber, you'd think that he'd probably just be told to get his feet up.
And Rodri's been involved
Brilliant.
in every game for them this season. How important has he become for them?
Well, I think he's incredibly important, and that's why, I mean, when he plays well, it normally means Kevin De Bruyne is playing well. And you see here, he wins the header for the goal with a player at Real Madrid called Claude Makélélé, who, of course, we saw in the Premier League with Chelsea. And in the team, we had a lot of star names who got all the credit and all the glory. You know, the Zidanes, the Ronaldos, et al. But the most important player, bar none, in the team was Claude Makélélé, and he very rarely got any of the headlines. And I think Rodri is exactly the same. You know, he was involved in that. It was a lovely ball to Mahrez, which sets Kevin De Bruyne away. But if Kevin De Bruyne scores, Kevin De Bruyne gets the credit. But actually, it was Rodri's ball to Mahrez, and then Mahrez putting Kevin De Bruyne in. So I think he's incredibly important for this team, and he gets the best out of Mahrez, Sterling, De Bruyne, Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero when he plays. And you see it, to go side to side to side, of course. But if you want to construct games and if you want to be progressive and move forwards, which he wants to do, Rodri, you see a lot of them was that. And a lot of them were led to chances. They might have been the second or third pass before the chance, but a lot of those chances from Kevin De Bruyne, and principally the goal, Rodri was involved somewhere down the line.
OK, well, a 2-0 defeat for Fulham today. Let's hear from their boss. Scott Parker is with Natalie Quirk. Yeah, it doesn't get any easier. Liverpool next. How do you judge where Fulham are at, Steve, after 11 games?
I think Scott Parker will be fairly happy. I know where they are in the league is not great, but they're not in the relegation zone. I think he feels that they're improving, and I think that's the most important thing. I've seen them live on a number of occasions this year, and at times you can see why Scott Parker will be disappointed with them. But you know, the first half against Everton a couple of weeks ago at the Cottage, they were awful. Second half they improved, and then they went to Leicester and won, and they've come today. And even though they were beaten today and beaten comfortably, you could see what they were about. You could see that at times they know when to play, at times they know how to defend, and I think that's why it's difficult to break down, because that's what they're going to need in this division. They're going to have to be very strong defensively and hope and get a little bit of luck going forward, get a few goals, certainly at home, nick a few wins, and then, you know, keep away from that bottom three. That's all he can do.
Steve, thank you very much for your company this afternoon. That's it from us at the Etihad. But up next, it is a cracker in the Bundesliga.